Ladies and gentlemen, family, let me tell you something real. Life ain't a game. Success ain't a lottery. And dreams don't come true just because you want them to. Only 2% of people succeed, and the other 98%, they don't. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why? Why do only 2% make it? Is it luck? Is it talent? No. It's because those 2% are willing to do what the 98% won't. See, let me break it down for you. Let me tell y'all something. Success ain't accidental. You don't just wake up one day and find yourself living the life of your dreams. That's not how it works. You know why only 2% of people succeed? It's because they see it before it happens. They got a vision. They got a clear picture in their mind of where they're going. And that's what separates them from the 98% who don't make it. See, most folks out here are just wandering through life. They wake up, go to work, come home, eat, watch TV, scroll on their phone, go to sleep, and do the same thing the next day. They just exist. They ain't living. And then years go by and they look back wondering why they never got anywhere. But I'll tell you why. They never had a vision. Let me break it down for you. Everything you see in this world, everything great that's ever been created, it started in somebody's mind first. The car you drive, somebody had a vision for that before it was ever built. The house you live in, somebody saw it before it was ever constructed. The phone in your hand, somebody imagined it before it was even a reality. See, God put a gift inside every single one of us. He gave you a dream, a talent, a purpose. But you got to see it before you can receive it. You got to believe it before it exists. The 98% don't do that. They wait for proof. They say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. But the 2%, they believe first. And that's why they get to see it come to life. You ever notice how kids dream big? Ask a kid what they want to be, and they'll say, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a movie star. They believe anything is possible. But somewhere along the way, life beats that out of them. People start telling them to be realistic, be practical. That's too hard, you'll never make it. And that's how most folks end up settling for a life they don't even want. But the 2%, they hold on to their vision. No matter how crazy it seems, no matter how impossible it looks, they refuse to let go of what they see in their mind. They lock in on that dream. You know what the Bible says? Where there's no vision, the people perish. That's real. If you ain't got a vision for your life, you just drifting. You just taking whatever life throws at you. And let me tell you something. Life don't give out handouts. If you don't have a plan, somebody else will make a plan for you. And guess what? It won't be in your favor. You got to see your success before it happens. You got to wake up every day knowing where you're going. You can't be out here walking blind. You got to have a clear picture in your mind of what your future looks like. What kind of life do you want? What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of person do you want to be? You got to see it so clearly that it feels real even before it happens. And let me tell you something, once you got that vision, once you truly believe in it, ain't nothing gonna stop you. The reason most people quit is because they don't have a strong enough vision. See, if you don't know why you're doing something, it's easy to give up. But when you got a vision so strong, so clear, so powerful, you ain't gonna let nobody or nothing take that from you. Now, don't get me wrong, just having a vision ain't enough. You gotta work for it, you gotta grind for it, you gotta put in the time and the effort. But having a vision is the foundation. Without it, you ain't going nowhere. So I'm asking you today, what's your vision? And what do you see for your future? If you ain't got a vision, you need to get one right now. Stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop playing small. God didn't put you here to just survive. He put you here to thrive. But it starts with you seeing it first. So close your eyes and imagine the life you truly want. See it, feel it, believe it. And then go out there and make it happen, because that's what the 2% do, and you can be one of them. Let me tell y'all something. Success is on the other side of fear. That's the real truth right there. See, the reason only 2% of people succeed and the other 98% don't is because most folks are too scared to take the leap. They're afraid to fail, afraid to look stupid, afraid to step out of their comfort zone. But let me ask you something. How you gonna win if you don't even get in the game? Most people are living in a bubble. They do the same thing every day, stay in the same place, talk to the same people, and live the same way year after year. Why? Because it's comfortable, it's safe, it's predictable. But let me tell you something. Ain't nothing great ever come from playing it safe. Every single person you admire, every successful person you look up to, they all had one thing in common. They took a risk. See, people out here want guarantees. They want to be 100% sure something's going to work before they even try. But life don't work like that. You ain't never going to be fully ready. You ain't never going to have all the answers. You just got to jump and trust that you'll figure it out on the way down. I remember when I first started chasing my dream, I had nothing, man, nothing. I was homeless, sleeping in my car, barely scraping by. And let me tell you, I was scared, but I had a choice. I could stay where I was, keep struggling, keep making excuses, or I could take a risk and bet on myself. And let me tell you something, that was the best decision. See, here's what you got to understand. Fear is a liar. Fear will have you believing that if you try, you're going to fail. Fear will tell you that if you take that leap, you're going to fall flat on your face. But let me hit you with something. What if you fly? That's what the 2% understand. They know that failure ain't the opposite of success. It's part of it. You can't win without losing. You can't succeed without failing. Every time you fail, you're just one step closer to getting it right. But the 98%, they let fear stop them before they even start. They say, what if I fail? But let me tell you something. You're already failing if you ain't even trying. Think about it like this. You ever seen a little baby learning to walk? They take a step, they fall. They take another step, they fall again. But they keep getting back up. And eventually, they start walking. Then they start running. But what if that baby said, you know what? I failed too many times. Walking ain't for me. You look at them crazy, right? But that's exactly what grown folks do with their dreams. They try something once, it don't work, and they quit. But let me tell you something. The people who win in life are the ones who keep getting back up. You got to stop worrying about what could go wrong and start thinking about what could go right. Oh, yeah, you might fail. Yeah, you might lose money. Yeah, people might laugh at you. But so what? Are you really going to let other people's opinions keep you from your blessing? You know what's even scarier than failing? Regret. One day you're going to be old, looking back on your life, and you're going to ask yourself one question. Did I really go for it? And I promise you, the pain of never trying is way worse than the pain of failing. Let me tell you something else. God didn't give you a dream for no reason. If you got a vision in your heart, it's because you meant to make it happen. You just got to trust the process and take that leap. The people who win in life ain't the ones who got the most talent or the most money, the ones who got the most courage. So let me ask you, what's the thing you've been scared to do? What's that dream you keep pushing to the side because you don't think you're ready? I'm telling you right now, stop waiting, stop doubting, stop making excuses. Take the risk, jump, bet on yourself, and watch what happens. Because let me tell you something, the greatest moments in life are on the other side of fear. And the only way you're going to find out what's possible for you is if you take the leap. Let me tell you something. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. That's real. That's the truth right there. See, people out here think success is about being the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. But let me tell you something. None of that matters if you ain't willing to outwork everybody else. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants the cars, the house, the lifestyle, the freedom. But when it's time to put in the work, when it's time to grind, that's where most people tap out. That's why only 2% of people make it, because they're the ones willing to do what the other 98% won't. They're the ones putting in the hours when everybody else is sleeping. They're the ones making sacrifices when everybody else is partying. They're the ones showing up every single day, even when they don't feel like it. Let me tell you something about people. Most folks are lazy. Now, they don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. They want success, but they don't want the process. They want the rewards, but they don't want the grind. See, people love talking about what they want. I want to be rich. I want to have my own business. I want to be a boss. But then you ask them, what are you doing about it? Crickets. See, the difference between the 2% and the 98% is simple. The 2% ain't just talking about it. They're doing it. They're putting in work when nobody's watching. They're staying up late, waking up early, pushing themselves even when they don't feel like it. Because let me tell you something, motivation is a lie. You ain't always gonna feel like working. You ain't always gonna feel like grinding, but discipline, that's what separates the winners from the losers. You ever heard somebody say, I don't have time? Man, let me tell you something. You make time for what's important to you. If you got time to scroll on social media, if you got time to binge watch Netflix, if you got time to lay in bed all morning, you got time to work on your dreams, you just don't want it bad enough. Let me ask you something. How bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough to sacrifice? Do you want it bad enough to wake up at 5 a.m. and start grinding while the rest of the world is sleeping? Do you want it bad enough to give up the distractions, the excuses, the complaining? Because that's what it takes. I remember when I was broke, sleeping in my car, man, I was struggling. But I knew one thing, I wasn't gonna stay there. I was willing to outwork everybody. I was willing to go through the pain, the setbacks, the failures, because I knew where I was headed. See, most people quit when things get hard. They start something, and the moment they hit a roadblock, they give up. They say, maybe this isn't for me. But let me tell you something. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Success is about persistence. It's about pushing through even when things don't go your way. It's about keeping your head down and working until the results show up. Let me tell you something else. God rewards effort. If you put in the work, if you stay faithful, if you keep grinding, God will open doors for you. But he ain't gonna bless you if you're sitting around doing nothing. Faith without works is dead. You gotta show up, you gotta do your part. And when you do, man, watch what happens. Now, I know some of y'all are sitting here thinking, but Steve, I've been working hard and nothing's happening. Listen to me. Keep going. Just because you don't see results right away don't mean it ain't working. See, success is like planting seeds. You got to water them, take care of them, and have patience. But if you stay consistent, if you keep working, eventually you're going to see the harvest. The question is, are you willing to put in the time? Are you willing to grind when nobody's clapping for you? Are you willing to work when you're tired, frustrated, and ready to quit? Because that's what separates the great from the average. So what's it going to be? You going to keep making excuses, or you going to get to work? Because let me tell you something. Success don't care how you feel. Success don't wait for you to be ready. Success comes to those who hustle, who grind, who refuse to stop until they get what they came for. And if you ain't willing to outwork the competition, you don't really want it. Let me tell y'all something. Excuses don't build success. You either got results or you got excuses, but you can't have both. That's the truth. That's what separates the 2% who make it from the 98% who don't. See, most people out here got a list of excuses longer than they dream. They always got a reason why they can't do something. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't know the right people. I didn't go to college. I'm too old. I'm too young. Man, let me tell you something. All of that is just noise. Excuses are nothing but lies you tell yourself to stay. Let me ask you, what's your excuse? What's the thing you keep telling yourself that's stopping you from going after your dreams? Because I guarantee you this, somebody out there has had the same obstacle and still made it happen. You think you struggling? Man, there are people who started with nothing. I mean nothing, and they still found a way. You know why? Because they refused to accept excuses. They decided that no matter what, they were going to figure it out. See, here's the thing. When you make excuses, you give away your power. You start acting like life is happening to you instead of taking control. But let me tell you something. You are responsible for your own success. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand it to you. It's on you to get up and go get it. I remember when I was broke, sleeping in my car, man, I had every reason to give up. I could have said, this ain't fair. I could have said, I don't have the resources, but I made a decision. I said, I'm not going to let my situation be my excuse. I'm going to let it be my motivation. See, that's the difference between the 2% and the 98%. The 98% see obstacles and stop. The 2% see obstacles and push through. The 98% complain, the 2% adjust. The 98% wait for the perfect moment, the 2% get started with whatever they got. You waiting for the right time, man, let me tell you something, there ain't no perfect time. If you waiting for everything to be lined up just right, you're gonna be waiting forever. You gotta start now with what you got, where you are. You think successful people had it easy? You think they had all the answers before they started? No. They figured it out as they went. They made mistakes, they stumbled, they failed, but they kept going. That's what separates them from the ones who never make it. Let me hit you with something real, OJ. Your excuses are stealing your future. Every time you say, I can't, you are blocking your own blessing. Every time you say it's too hard, you are closing the door that was meant for you. Every time you say, I don't have enough, you are ignoring the fact that God already gave you everything you need to get started. You think you don't have enough, man. You got enough talent. You got enough drive. You got enough time if you stop wasting it. But see, most people would rather make excuses than put in the work. You know what the most dangerous excuse is? I'll do it later. Man, later turns into never. Later turns into years passing by and you still in the same place wondering why nothing changed. Nothing changed because you didn't change. So I'm asking you right now, what excuse have you been holding on to? What's the thing that's been stopping you from going all in on your dreams? Because I promise you, it ain't real. It's just a story you've been telling yourself. And as long as you keep believing that story, you ain't never gonna make it. You know how you get rid of excuses? You take action. That's it. You stop thinking, stop overanalyzing, stop waiting for the perfect moment, and you just start one step, one move, one decision, and then another and another. That's how you get there. So I don't want to hear no more excuses. I don't want to hear why you can't. I want to hear how you will. Because let me tell you something. The 2% don't make excuses. They make moves. And if you want to be one of them, you got to do the same. Let me tell you something. Quitting is the most expensive thing you'll ever do. You think you can quit and walk away, but what you really do is you walk away from your blessing. You walk away from the life you could have had. You walk away from the success that was right around the corner. And the truth is, if you quit, you'll never know what could have been. Let me break it down for you. You can't just throw in the towel when things get tough. You can't give up when the road gets hard. The 2% who make it, they never quit. They keep going when everyone else is giving up. They stay in the game even when they're down, even when they're discouraged, even when the odds are stacked against them. And that's what makes them winners. I'm going to tell you the difference between those who make it and those who don't is that the ones who make it, they are relentless. They are unbreakable. They don't see failure as an end, they see it as a lesson. They know that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's just a part of the journey. You think you're struggling now, you think things ain't working out for you? Let me tell you something. You're closer than you think. That's right. Every time you hit a wall, every time things don't go your way, you are getting closer because it's those moments that separate the winners from the quitters. It's those moments that build you into the person you need to be in order to handle the success that's coming your way. I know what it's like to feel like giving up. Man, I've been there. I've had days where I was broke, where I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I've been laughed at, doubted, and told that I wouldn't make it. And let me tell you something. I wanted to quit. I wanted to throw in the towel. I wanted to say, you know what? This ain't for me. But I kept going. And you know what happened? That's right. I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It didn't come immediately, but it came. And when it came, it was more than I ever imagined. But I wouldn't have seen that light if I had quit. I would have missed out on everything. I would have missed out on the platform, on the impact, on the success, and all the lessons I learned along the way. Listen to me. Quitting is easy. It's easy to walk away. It's easy to say, this is too hard. But the people who win, the people who succeed, they don't take the easy route. They push through the pain. They keep going when it feels like the whole world is against them. And that's when they get their breakthrough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be hard. There are going to be days when you're frustrated. There are going to be days when you feel like you've hit a wall. But that's when you dig deep. That's when you remember why you started in the first place. That's when you remind yourself that your dreams are worth fighting for. You ever notice how the most successful people, the ones you admire, the ones you look up to, they didn't stop when they failed. They didn't give up when things got tough. They kept going. They had setbacks. They had failures. They had problems, but they refused to quit. They kept pushing. And you know what? That's why they're where they are today. You want to know why the 98% of people don't make it? It's because they give up too soon. They quit when the going gets tough. They quit when things aren't working. They quit when they face a little adversity. And you know what happens when you quit? You miss the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to get better. You miss the chance to become who you are meant. But the 2%, they don't quit. They persist. They keep going until they break through. And when they do, that success is sweet. So I'm asking you right now, what's your excuse for quitting? What's the reason you're thinking about giving up? Because let me tell you something. That reason ain't stronger than your dreams. It ain't stronger than your purpose. You were put on this earth for a reason, and that reason is greater than any obstacle that's in your way. So when it gets tough, when it feels like you can't take another step, keep going. When you feel like the odds are stacked against you and you don't know if you can keep pushing forward, keep going. Because I promise you, your breakthrough is closer than you think. Keep going, and one day you'll look back and say, I'm glad I didn't quit. Let me tell you something. Life ain't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about understanding who you are, what you bring to the table, and having the courage to step into your greatness. But too many people are walking around out here trying to be something they're not, trying to fit into someone else's mold. And that right there is why they never reach their full potential. I'm here to tell you, there is no substitute for authenticity. The reason only 2% of people make it to the top is because they've embraced who they truly are. They ain't trying to be like everybody else. They ain't trying to do what's popular or follow the trends. They know that the secret to success is being real with yourself. You see, the world doesn't need another copycat. It don't need another person trying to be the next celebrity, the next athlete, the next influencer. The world needs you exactly how you are, with all your flaws, your quirks, your strengths, and your weaknesses. That's the key to standing out in a world full of noise. But here's the thing. Most people don't get that. They spend their whole life trying to be who they think other people want them to be. They get caught up in all the pressure, trying to live up to other people's expectations, and before they know it, they've lost sight of who they really are. They become a version of themselves that's been shaped by everyone around them, and they forget that the most powerful version of them is the real version. Let me hit you with something real. You can't be successful trying to be somebody else. The world is already full of copycats. What it needs is your unique gift, your perspective, your story. See, every single person out here has something special to offer, but if you're too busy trying to be someone else, you'll miss out on your own greatness. When I first started out, I didn't have much. I didn't have the big fancy connections or the wealth or the fame, but you know what I had? I had me. I knew who I was. I knew what I brought to the table, and I wasn't afraid to be real. I wasn't afraid to be unapologetically un-Steve Harvey. And guess what? That's what people connected with. That's what people saw. They didn't see a perfect person. They saw a man who had failed, who had struggled, but who kept going, who stayed authentic to himself every single step of the way. And that's what you need to understand. Success comes when you stop pretending to be something you're not. You've got to let go of the idea that you need to meet someone else's standards and start defining success for yourself. Because success isn't one size fits all. What works for one person ain't gonna work for you, and that's okay. Your journey is your own. You get to create it, but you can only do that when you stop pretending to be someone you're not and start being the best version of you. Listen, there's no shortcut to this. You can't fake it till you make it. Eventually, the real you will come out, and if you've been wearing a mask all this time, you're gonna have a hard time figuring out who you really are. That's why it's so important to get comfortable with yourself, with your flaws, your imperfections, and yes, even your mistakes, because those are the things that make you unique. And here's the kicker. When you start being real with yourself, you'll start attracting real people. You'll start drawing the right opportunities into your life because the world can feel authenticity. People are attracted to truth. And when you're true to yourself, you give other people permission to do the same. You create an energy that draws in the right people and opportunities. And that's when things start to happen. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't grow or evolve. You should always strive to be better, to learn, to improve. But the key is to do it as your authentic self. As you grow, don't lose sight of who you are at your core. And don't let anyone tell you that you need to change who you are to be successful. Your real self is the one that's going to win in the end. So let me ask you, are you ready to show up as you? Are you ready to stop hiding behind the image you think the world wants to see and just be you? Because I'm telling you right now, when you do that, everything changes. Success starts to feel easier, opportunities start to flow, and most importantly, you're going to feel more alive than you've ever felt before because you're finally living in your truth. So stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. Be you, be real, be unapologetically yourself, and watch how the world responds.